Do not choose yet. Hold your pen perfectly still. Decision traps. Decision traps. Decision traps. Decision traps. If you think this book by J. Edward Russo and Paul J. H. Shoemaker is just another manual about overcoming doubt or boosting your confidence, think again. This explainer covers a truth from J. Edward Russo and Paul J. H. Shoemaker about the wrong starting line entirely. It's a fascinating, if somewhat cold, claim your choice might actually be broken long before your options even arrive. They aren't attacking your intelligence here. They are attacking your unexamined process.
Okay, let's step into this. We usually think we're lost because, well, we just don't have enough options, right? We say to ourselves, I need more data, more choices, I just need more time. But this book reveals a much stranger truth. You're often lost because the hallway you're standing in, it points absolutely nowhere. The real danger we face in making big decisions isn't indecision, it's obedient motion.
Imagine for a second you keep meticulously adding these beautiful heavy doors to a hallway that was built in the completely wrong direction to begin with. That motion, it can look incredibly noble. It looks a lot like humility, doesn't it? You ask for more evidence because you don't want to be reckless. You delay because your standards are so high. But all that hard work is actually just disguised directionlessness. The frame of your decision grows deep, deep roots while you look the other way. And by the time you actually choose, the choice feels entirely inevitable.
I know this belief sounds completely responsible. You might say to yourself, I just need more options before I choose. It respects uncertainty. It feels exactly like what a smart, rational person would do. And I genuinely wish this weren't true. But look at where it leads. If more options arrive inside a weak frame, that weak frame only grows stronger. You gather 100 options inside a bad frame, and you don't magically get clarity. You just get a much, much larger fog.
This book calls this frame blindness. It is a fascinating process to error because it wears the perfect mask of good judgment. It dictates exactly what counts as evidence before your search even begins. The trap starts long, long before you even look at a menu of choices. It starts the exact second your very first question gets accepted without a trial. Your thoroughness becomes this heavy velvet curtain, and behind it, that initial untested question remains completely hidden from view.
So you're left staring at this incredibly frustrating dilemma. Do you choose fast with a weak frame, or do you wait around gathering bloated data? They feel like entirely different problems, don't they? One feels like rushing, the other feels like overthinking. But they are actually both symptoms of the exact same misunderstanding. They are both just clever ways to dodge the architecture of your problem. You start pouring concrete just because standing still feels a little too embarrassing.
Think of it like a blueprint lying out in the rain. The ink is already bleeding at the load-bearing wall, but the crew is ready and the crane is rented. The structural mistake is already incredibly expensive before a single brick is even laid. We have this tendency to defend a choice with the labor we spent finding it, rather than pausing to ask if the frame deserved all that labor in the first place.
One untested frame can waste 100 correct facts. This book doesn't mock planning. It just asks your planning to prove its foundation. We've all been there, right? Bad choices often feel incredibly mature because they come with massive stacks of paperwork and beautiful, color-coordinated charts. But can your process actually survive daylight? Because if it can't, all that confidence, all that data, it's just decoration.
In architecture, the frame carries the load. But think about it like music too. The string sets the note. If you tighten the wrong string, your immense skill as a musician only makes the wrong pitch sound that much cleaner. Build on the wrong plan, and your monumental effort only makes the wrong building taller. Layering effort on top of a flawed initial frame just guarantees the wrong choice is inevitable.
So what is an untested frame actually doing behind the scenes? Well, it's silently curating your reality. Before you even realize it, it decides exactly what counts as evidence. It decides who actually gets heard in the meeting. It decides which costs look real and which fears sound professional enough to take seriously. Once the frame is hidden, every single answer feels completely self-made and justified. It sneakily takes your absolute best traits, your care and your diligence, and points them at the completely wrong target.
You might be thinking, well, I'll know the right move when I see every single option. But I have to ask you, what made an option visible to you in the first place? What did the specific wording of your problem make completely illegal? What did your self-imposed deadline make invisible? What did your personal identity make untouchable? These aren't just abstract philosophical questions. They actively decide which future gets permission to appear.
And here is where it gets a bit funny, because memory will absolutely not save you here. We humans have a terrible habit of judging our decisions by their outcomes.
Outcomes are loud, but the process is quiet. Without an external, objective ledger to record your original uncertainty, your memory just neatly rewrites history based on the results. Oh, it worked out? Obviously, I'm a genius. And it brutally punishes discipline if you just happen to get unlucky. Experience doesn't teach by just existing. It teaches when you force it to record the truth before hindsight sneaks in and cleans up the room.
And this applies just as much, if not more, to groups. We love a good committee, but group consensus can multiply certainty long before it multiplies insight. Smart people don't automatically create smart groups. If you ask a room of incredibly intelligent people for their opinions too early in the process, you don't get a better answer. You simply spread frame blindness across the entire table.
Okay, let's dive into how we actually fix this before those options even arrive. This book suggests a radically simple 3-sentence practice on paper. Yes, actual physical paper. Screens invite endless expansion, but paper forces a boundary. Before collecting a single piece of new evidence, write down. Number 1, what decision am I actually making? Number 2, what alternate frame would radically change my options? And number 3, what fact would embarrass my favorite frame? Actually, scratch that. Don't just ask for a fact that annoys it. Ask for a fact that ruins it. Because if no fact can wound it, you don't have a frame, you have a shield.
The trap doesn't own you once you can finally see its structure. We all want certainty from our options, but this book hands you responsibility for the question itself. That trade is a bit uncomfortable at first, for sure, but it's also true freedom. True freedom is an endless choice. It's the absolute power to question the chooser inside you. Just slow it down enough to see the blueprint, and then you can build with your eyes wide open.
That is the quiet win here. This book isn't asking you to become some fearless risk-taker who never ever doubts themselves. It's simply asking you to become inspectable. It's reminding you that the absolute first step of any successful journey is making entirely sure you pick the frame before you start running down the path.
This is the decision. Make it now. If not now, not ever. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final instruction. Name the one decision you are currently avoiding before the screen turns black. Take control of the frame.